So when you hear the word hell, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Probably fire, maybe some pitchforks, the classic image of eternal punishment. For centuries, that's been the go-to picture. But what if I told you that our whole concept of hell didn't start in some fiery underworld? What if it started as a real, physical valley with a history so horrifying it became a legend? Well, today, we're going to trace the incredible journey of that idea, from a cursed patch of land to a modern state of mind.
This description paints a really specific picture, right? A lot of us have probably heard this story before, that Gehenna, which is the word Jesus often used for hell, was basically the name of a smoldering garbage dump just outside ancient Jerusalem, a place where all the city's trash and even the bodies of criminals were just constantly on fire. It's a powerful image, for sure.
But is it actually true? What if that vivid image of a perpetually burning trash heap is really just a centuries-old misunderstanding?
Okay, so first things first. We're going to dismantle the super popular myth about hell's origins, because honestly, the truth is way more interesting and a whole lot darker.
Here's the kicker. Despite how popular this idea is, there is simply no ancient evidence for this garbage dump theory. None. Historians and archaeologists have combed through the records, they've dug in the dirt, and they've come up completely empty-handed. The whole idea of a fiery landfill? It's a myth.
And when you look at the facts, the myth just completely falls apart. Not a single ancient source, not one, describes the Valley of Hinnom this way. The idea doesn't even show up until around the year 1200, more than 1,000 years after Jesus, in the writings of a medieval rabbi. And get this, even he says he's just using it as an analogy for judgment, not describing a real place. You add that to the total lack of archaeological proof and, well, case closed.
So if Gehenna wasn't a garbage dump, what on earth was it?
Well, this is where the story takes a really grim turn. The real history of this valley is exactly why its name became the ultimate synonym for punishment.
So let's get this straight. Gehenna wasn't originally a metaphor. It was a real place on a map. The word is just the Greek version of the Hebrew Gehinnom, which means the Valley of Hinnom, a ravine right outside the old city of Jerusalem. And it earned its infamous reputation for something way, way worse than garbage.
You see, the real story of this valley is one of rebellion, forbidden rituals, and acts so unspeakable that they scarred the memory of an entire nation for generations. It made its name the perfect shorthand for a place of absolute horror.
Back in the days of the Old Testament kings, this valley became a hotspot for pagan worship, including the absolutely horrific practice of child sacrifice to a god named Molech. The texts literally say kings made their own sons pass through the fire. It wasn't until generations later that a reformist king, Josiah, finally had enough and put a stop to it. He completely desecrated the valley, scattering human bones all over it to make it permanently unclean, so it could never be used for any kind of worship ever again.
And that's how the symbol was born. That final act of desecration cemented the valley's reputation forever. It was now a real, physical place that everyone associated with idolatry, with innocent blood, and with divine judgment, which made it the perfect, ready-made symbol for later writers.
This was the big turning point. The prophet Jeremiah, who probably saw all of this happen, seized on this powerful imagery. He prophesied that God would turn this very valley, the one used for child sacrifice, into a valley of slaughter for the unfaithful, their bodies left unburied as a sign of ultimate disgrace. The literal place was officially becoming a prophetic metaphor.
So you can see the two lives of this place, right? In the Old Testament, it's a very real, very defiled location. But then, centuries later, in the New Testament, Jesus brings back the term Gehenna, not to talk about some local valley, but as a universally understood symbol for the final, irreversible consequence of evil, a fiery judgment.
And this powerful symbol didn't just stop there. The concept spread. The Hebrew Gehenna became the Arabic Jahannam, the main name for hell in Islam. And here's a fascinating historical echo for you. Some scholars think that Malak, the Quran's angel who guards hell, might be linguistically connected back to Molech, the very god those ancient sacrifices were made to. Crazy, right?
But the evolution of hell was far from over. In the 20th century, the whole concept took another radical leap, moving from the theological realm of the afterlife into the psychological world of our everyday lives.
You've probably heard this famous line,
It comes from the French philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre's play No Exit. And in that play, 3 people die and find themselves locked in a single room for eternity. But there's no fire, there are no demons, no torture devices. Their torment is just each other. You see, for Sartre, the real hell isn't some supernatural punishment waiting for us after we die. It's something we all experience right now. That relentless, inescapable feeling of being seen, of being judged, and of being defined by other people. It's a mental and social agony, not a physical one.
So let's break down the psychology of it. First, we humans have what's called a theory of mind. We know that other people have their own thoughts, and we know that some of those thoughts are about us. That awareness leads to this unique kind of social anxiety, this deep-seated fear of what other people think. And the result is a uniquely human hell, this constant state of being evaluated, where our own identity can feel like it's being held captive by the gaze of everyone around us.
So, on one hand, you have the traditional theological idea of Gehenna, a place of final, physical destruction after death.
And on the other hand, you have Sartre's modern philosophical hell, a psychological state of suffering that happens right here, right now, just by virtue of being a person living among other people.
So where does all of this leave us? I mean, we've journeyed from a real geographical valley outside Jerusalem all the way into the inner landscape of the human mind. That's a pretty breathtaking transformation for a single, powerful idea. Just think about that path for a second. Hell started as a physical place infamous for its horrific history. Then it was transformed into a symbol of divine punishment. That symbol eventually solidified into a core religious doctrine about the afterlife. And finally, it was completely reinterpreted as this profound metaphor for the psychological torment of just existing with others.
And this all brings us to one final big question. This long, strange evolution isn't just a historical fun fact. It's like a mirror. As our idea of hell has shifted from a fear of physical destruction to a fear of psychological judgment, what does that reveal about how we've changed and what our deepest fears have truly become?